Let's give them something to talk about. Catching up with Frank Flood down here in the pit area at Port City Raceway. Frank, something doesn't seem right this weekend.
Yeah, it's definitely been the talk of the town this week after last night especially.
Back in Arujo Racers, that's kind of got to feel like home, right?
Yeah, last night I called him the cat in the hat. You know, you can't stare at him too much, he'll run off again, but it definitely feels like being at home, being back with Dino, getting back on the road with him, and having him back in my corner full time essentially really just adds a sense of ease over the whole program.
Now, last night I posted a picture of this car, and the internet kind of went abuzz, right? At least for the 15 followers that I have on Facebook, and maybe we'll get some more after this. This car is a little bit different. It's not like any other car on the planet, really. It's a one-off Rujo. It's a mystery machine that some people say, right? Like, it's different. There's a lot of things different about it. What are some of the key things that you could point out that maybe people won't notice, or maybe people will notice?
Well, I mean, obviously, the first thing when guys look at the car is there's no shocks on the exterior of the body. And everybody stops, and that's the first thing they ask is, well, where's the shocks? Well, they're tucked inside the body, and then they see the torsion arms, and they're like, well, where's the torsion stops? Well, it's a coilover car, and everybody's like, what? Yeah, it's a 4-coil cantilever car, so everything's on the inside off a cantilever arm, so it's definitely a different feel and definitely a different driving style than even what a regular Rujo is.
So you said it's a different driving style. You came out and tested this car a few weeks back, and then you've had the opportunity to now race against other competitors on track. For you, what has it been like adjusting to get back to a Rujo, back to something that's just totally different?
Well, you know, obviously with Sawyer Chassis and Keith Coons calling me last week, it was pretty cool to drive for him with Clint and getting to drive Dason's car. So that was, you know, a ladder Z-Link car, so that was kind of still more like what I'd been used to the last few years. Obviously with Keith at the wrenches, and, you know, kind of helped obviously, but the big thing there was it felt a little more like what I'd been used to the last few years, and then coming back to this being a Panhard wishbone plus a 4-coil and cantilever, it definitely was kind of a here we go moment. So we just, hot laps got a little sketchy. I had to hang on to it a little bit. I had to retrain myself somewhat, but I guess it's just another feather in the cap to Dean that he can just build something and put somebody in it and it'll work.
Talk about that relationship that you have with Dean. It seems like whenever you two get together, it's like two mad scientists collide, and just the lingo that you guys use. After that practice night, I kind of sat back and listened to some of the things you were saying, and I'm like, I had to go home and get my encyclopedia out and start looking up words in the dictionary and everything else. Talk about that relationship and just that bond that you two have.
Yeah, there's not too many racers who carry a trigonometry book in their toolbox like Dean. So anytime he can definitely talk and do the lingo and the math, I just have the butt cheeks that can feel it and explain it to him. But even at that, he's taught me so much that I would have never known, because I dang sure didn't learn math in school. But it definitely applies here, and I wish I would have paid attention a little more, but I guess he's a good enough teacher.
Frank, outside of racing, I want to talk about some things real quick and touch on a few things. Over the course of the last 2 or 3 years, you've kind of grown as a man and as a human being, right? Like, we've all lived our crazy lifestyles, and we've done some things that we probably regret and some things that taught us lessons. You're a dad now. Life is like fully changed for you, and it's kind of come full circle. And as a friend, as an announcer, and outside of everything else, it's been cool to kind of see you evolve. How has life changed now that Luke's in the picture? How crazy is it being a dad?
Yeah, there's definitely been a lot of things changed the last few years, and Luke being one of the biggest things with me and Ashley. So it's pretty special. You know, everybody always says, oh, it's the greatest thing ever. There's so much love. There's so much this. And I'm over here just going, he's freaking won't stop crying. He's annoying. Shut up. But no, I wouldn't change any of it. I love that little kid, because all the screaming they do, and, you know, only being 2 months old right now, he's, you know, you don't know why he's screaming yet fully, but as soon as he can just smile real quick, and it's like, all right, bud, it's all right. You know, it makes it all worth it. And, you know, it definitely changed everything. It's a lot of sleepless nights and a lot more exhausting things, especially for Ashley, taking care of him a lot more than I do, because that's just, she's strong-headed, you know, says I can do it myself, but I keep trying to remind her it takes both of us.
Frank, over the last 2 years, you've kind of found your life and through faith, and you've kind of found the ministry and started going to church and, finding out who you really are and who you are as a man. That's kind of changed your life as where, some people are maybe still trying to find their way. If you could give people like just a new Frank Flood, like you have a new outlook on things, the way you approach things now, it seems totally different than maybe 5 or 10 years ago. How has that changed your life, like truly and honestly?
It's something that we really sat down and talked about with each other, me and Ashley. And I used to go to church with my grandfather being a pastor and a deacon and everything. We used to go to church all the time, and like you say, we all have our wild streaks, and it's been something that's not easy, but it's something that I feel like has definitely made everything change and work for the better, obviously through what God thinks his plan is, and he knows what it is. But we go to Battle Creek with Pastor Alex now, and it's something that a lot of things that used to bother us and a lot of things that seemed like they were big issues just really kind of go by the wayside, and we realize there's a lot more important things like Luke now, and it's just a lot of it's not worth it.
A lot of it's not worth it, but something last night, we got flooded out here. Frank Flood was back in Victory Lane and winning his ways. We got some rain overnight. It's a beautiful day. What kind of preparations are going into not only getting this Rougeau racer ready, but getting Madeline and getting Ethan ready to go for another night of racing?
That's a whole nother process. I got Jason slaving away over there, as we call it, but he's definitely going to try and get things lined out so we can get together after this and kind of just assess where we were at last night at the end of the night. Ethan had a really strong run last night in both classes, getting third and almost having a top 5 in non-wing from the B. But Madeline had a little incident there in the non-wing B. She was going to make the A and got together with another competitor, but they came over and they talked it out, and he was apologetic, so that makes up for a lot of it. But we're still not where we want to be, but we're definitely headed in the right direction with the whole team. And like I say, there's a lot of things, we may not be winning every week with everybody, but there's a lot of gains and a lot of positivity throughout a lot of little things that makes it all worth it.